What's up, you guys? It's Jonno! It seems like there have been a flurry of news articles about Pokemon Go very recently, thanks to the CEO of Pokemon Go talking a lot at a recent Wired news article. So I'm going to cover as much of this news as I can possibly cover in a reasonable amount of time. So let's go ahead and get started here. So there's a lot of news that's talking about gym overhauls, legendary birds, and updates that are basically considered to be very significant updates to the way that the game functions right now. So the gym overhaul would obviously be very significant, and I'm guessing if they're going to release the legendary birds, that's going to be a pretty significant change too, but they've already made all the adjustments that they needed to make previously for the gyms and for the CP of all the Pokemon and all that stuff. They've been making a ton of changes in the game. Everybody's aware of those, but what does it mean for the future? So let's go ahead and read some of these articles and think about what is going to happen in the future of Pokemon Go. And then the third thing that people are talking about but nobody has any details about, so I don't really want to cover it that much, is trading. People are talking about trading. I do think there will be trading between countries. It's obviously a feature that Niantic is committed to and Nintendo is committed to, because they've expressed how they want people to be able to make friends with people in the regional countries like Australia. They've mentioned how that was specifically why they made the regional Pokemon, so that people would trade people in the regions and make friends across borders. So I don't think that everybody's fears about trading are going to come true. I think trading is going to be really awesome and it's going to be able to trade across the internet. I just think there's going to be some kind of restrictions related to that, because the number one thing they don't want to do is introduce more GPS spoofing so that people can do trading. So I don't want to talk too much about that. What I really want to talk about is these legendary birds and the gym overhauls. So this is the first article that I'm looking at. It's by iTech Post, and if you read through, starts to talk about kind of the same stuff everybody's talking about. There's legendary Pokemon that are coming, and they immediately reference over to this BitGone article, and the BitGone article seems to be where a lot of information is. Now I do like this right here. It says huge team event to capture a legendary Pokemon. That's actually pretty cool, but I can't find anyone who's actually said that in the articles, so I'm going to be looking around for that as well. So let's go ahead and look at this BitGone article. I clicked over here. I was just kind of clicking through articles this morning, and I realized I'm learning a lot of stuff. I should make a video. So here we go. It looks like they're going to be changing the gyms, and everybody keeps on referencing this Hanke guy, CEO Hanke, and they announced it with Wired, and everybody keeps on linking out. It's like every single article links out to all these other articles, but this one had some good information here. Redditor, I love when people pull stuff out of Reddit so I don't have to read Reddit, because there's so much stuff in Reddit to read and most of it's not worth reading, but then there's a couple gems in there from the really great users on there. Alright, so gym system is being overhauled. Overhaul will be the first major update of 3 more in 2017, so that's kind of crazy. 3 major updates. It's like they're just changing the app so much, and that generally, will decrease your user base. So it's not exactly a great move from a mobile standpoint, but we'll see how it goes for them, because Pokemon is wildly popular. Alright, so next one, legendary Pokemon will make an appearance this year. Hanke acknowledged spoofing as a problem and says Niantic has an obligation to solve the problem. The whole thing about them having an obligation to solve the problem, I feel like they feel obligated, but it's not bothering people as much as, I feel like they could build the game in a better way to where spoofing didn't bother anybody, because the idea that they're going to be able to solve spoofing is, I think, fruitless. I think they're not going to be able to solve spoofing. That seems crazy to me, that they would just be able to solve a whole community of people trying to spoof behind their backs. I mean, so far they haven't been able to do it, and I'm speculative that they won't be able to do it, and I don't really understand why they feel like they have an obligation to do it. However, if they do feel the obligation, the best thing they could do is feel the obligation to make the game more playable for everybody, not necessarily solve the spoofers, but you could actually solve the spoofing problem by making the game play in a way where spoofing didn't play such a big role or bother anybody. So like they give away free coins for staying in the gyms. If they didn't give away coins for staying in the gyms, then there wouldn't be people spoofing in the gyms, and maybe they could give away coins. I have mentioned this a few times on different videos for a bounty system. Like today, Professor Oak wants you to catch a Scyther, and he wants you to catch a Larvitar, and he wants you to catch something else, and the Scyther is worth 20 coins, and the Larvitar is worth 50 coins, and the common one is worth 10 coins, you know, and you can still add up to your, you know, your 80 coins or whatever for the day that you would normally get. So I have speculated that they could just solve the spoofing problem by making the game play in a different way. I'm hoping that that's what they do, because the idea that they're going to stop people from spoofing just seems like it's not going to happen. So moving on, this article actually linked over to the Wired Germany article, and everything seems to be linking back to this one Wired Germany article where the actual quotes came from, but it's in German. So what I'm going to do is just translate this article with Google, and then we're going to read it. So I like to get straight to the source. I really like to, you know, get through all the clutter and just get right to the source. And I've been looking for this article, but I haven't been able to find it. But this morning I finally found it, and we're going to go ahead and check it out. So it says, Niantic founder John Hanke, this is how 27 continues with Pokemon Go. After Pokemon Go was released in summer 2016, almost half a year did not change much at the game. Sorry, it's in German translation, so it's not exactly perfect English. The hype sounded slow, and only with the release of new monsters, many players came back. According to John Hanke, CEO, the developer of Niantic, Wired interview now tells us how to proceed after the first big update. So I'm looking for the quotes here, because that's really what we want to get down to. It says, there were things I would have liked to have already started. I still see it as unfinished. The first 3 months after the release, Niantic had only to delete one fire after another and tried to make the technology more robust. Just like I said, I've been saying this for so long. They barely had time to do anything in the game as far as making improvements, because they were just putting out fires for very, very long time. He's now confirming the first 3 months, you know, of the game's launch, which was when it was the worst for everybody. And then it finally got to where the game was playable, but I don't know how many people were gone by then, you know. All right, so let's move on. Let's find some more. I'm looking for quotes here. The arenas simply do not work as well as we want. That's referring to the gyms. It's just a bad translation there. So that's a really big deal. It's great to hear them actually say that. Like, look, you guys, the gyms don't work well. I mean, he's basically saying the gyms suck, which is what we all think. So I think that they need to figure it out, you know. And also he's saying, we know here from Ingress that cooperation and planning are a lot of fun. When people have a common goal, it is a strong incentive to meet with friends or to get together with people you do not know. That's very, very true. I met a lot of people through Ingress, and I also have got together with my friends a lot during the beginning days of Pokemon Go, until we realized that there was no point to get together and play together. We had absolutely no benefit to play together in Pokemon Go, so we just stopped getting together and playing, and all my friends quit. So yeah, that was kind of lame. So let's see. It says there is very limited gameplay in the arenas. They simply do not work as well as we wish. We will rework this aspect of the game so that there will be more teamwork and people will get more incentive and rewards for participating. I'm hoping that that means that they'll give like Pokemon and give like real rewards. Like, I don't just want 10 coins. I can buy as many coins as I want. I can buy as many coins as I want. I have no incentive for coins whatsoever. So I really hope that they will come out with some kind of like, give me a legendary Pokemon for beating a level 10 gym or something like that. Or give me a badge. Give me a badge. I would love to get a badge for a gym. So something like that, just to say like, Jonno beat this gym one time, you know, and now Jonno has 100 badges or whatever, you know, like that would be cool. It'd make me feel like a little Boy Scout. All right, so let's move on. This is the best article. If you guys didn't read this article, I do highly suggest finding this article, because it has so much more information than everything else that I was reading. And that's why I kind of showed those other articles in the beginning, just to be like, look, I clicked a lot of links to get this far, and none of them really had any tangible information until I got to this article. So this is really the one I think you guys should be reading if you're going to look for this particular set of news. So let's go. Niantic wants to deliver what many trainers have been waiting for since the very few weeks, the legendary Pokemon Mewtwo, Mew, and the 3 elemental birds assigned to the teams. Quote, I can safely say we'll see more of this year. So that is kind of interesting. We'll see more of this year, kind of like, what does it mean? So I don't really know what it means, but I guess we'll be seeing all of them. I mean, he says we'll be seeing more. So let's see. It says, it is our responsibility to prevent cheating. Let's see. I do not believe it's a user's fault if an app or website offers an abbreviation. It is our responsibility to prevent these things or not make them harder than they are at the moment. That, I think that's a bad translation. Anyway, it wants to make them like not easy to use, basically. Let's see. It's a good opportunity to come out of the house. Difficult to understand the motivation of fraudsters. I wish they would not. They destroy themselves by cheating. The greatest fun of the game. He's saying that they're destroying the fun of playing the game. The reward of Pokemon Go is to get movement and see parts of the world you have not visited. I just think that that kind of assumption and that kind of language is offensive, personally. I think there's a lot of people who really want to play his game and they need a way to modify their GPS because they are homebound. They're stuck at home. They can't leave because they're a child and their parents won't let them leave, and they would love to emulate the experience of going for a walk, even though they can't go for a walk because it might be 9 o'clock at night and they're not allowed to go for a walk. So I think that there's times that you're available to play, but yet you're not available to play, and that's just kids. What about people in wheelchairs? What about people who are bed-stricken and they have cancer and they can never leave the hospital and all they want to do is play Pokemon Go for their final days? I mean, maybe that there are those people out there, you know. There has to be an opportunity for those people to be out there, and they have to be given space to exist. And I think that by just trying to shut down all the GPS spoofing, when obviously the thing is, it's very popular. People really, really want to do it. So if you have a mobile app and you realize that people really want to use your mobile app, what you'd normally do is find a way for them to use it that is legal and doesn't hurt them. And he's saying that this hurts them, but it actually doesn't hurt them. It gives a lot of people a lot of joy, and it allows them to do something that they previously just could not do. And this also goes back to the rural problem. There's a serious rural problem. People in rural areas cannot play the game. It's basically unplayable. There's nothing for them to do in the game. They can't catch rare Pokemon. And I've seen this over and over again. People complain about it. And it's not like, oh, there's just no Pokemon. And, you know, like, or it's not like they're just not finding the Pokemon. A lot of people say, well, there's rare Pokemon, they just can't find them. And it's like, no, I've scanned people's areas and looked around people's areas. There's no cross streets. Like, I get a lot of spawns when there's a stop sign that's a 4-way stop sign. 4 people pull up on that stop sign, they all stop. It's a nice GPS location for the map, and the map says, cool, I'm going to put spawn points there. And there's spawn points at all these different places, yet I don't see spawn points in the middle of the country, and now they fixed it to where certain trails will have spawn points, but there's no trails out in these places either. So I really don't feel like them taking on the cheaters is the best way. I think that what they should do is try to prevent the cheating out from under the cheating by saying, well, if you guys really need a GPS, we'll put it in, and it's a special mode of the game, and it's very, very, very restricted, and it doesn't actually count towards your game profile, but you can actually have the experience of catching those rare Pokemon if you just want to have the experience, or something that it actually supports the people who want to do what they want to do, but it doesn't ruin the game out from under everybody, like the spoofing is actually ruining the game out from under everybody. And then to come back to my previous point, I really hope that they will prevent the spoofing by making it to where there's no reason to spoof. If there was rare Pokemon everywhere, like in the rural areas, nobody would be spoofing in the rural areas. And if there was no reason to get coins out of the gym, if you could only get badges out of the gym that have no tangible value in the game, then nobody would be spoofing the gyms and everybody would be playing legitimately in the gyms. And if you could get real rewards like Pokeballs and things that you actually want out of the game for taking down gyms certain levels, then maybe people would do that too. But giving a coin-based incentive, all that did was make people who want to sell accounts start creating bots that will farm up the gyms and keep them inside the gyms all the time. And they're not even doing it by themselves. They're using bots. It's all by robots to keep themselves in the gym. And it really has ruined the game because you can't get them out of there because it's a robot that's doing it. So that kind of stuff has ruined the game, whereas the GPS spoofing itself, like people just going around and catching rare Pokemon, that doesn't really bother anybody, and anybody can go and catch rare Pokemon, and it doesn't bother me one bit. So I think that the way that they developed the game is what actually did them like so wrong, and they need to fix it by developing it correctly and de-incentivizing the spoofing rather than taking away the fun parts of the game. So anyway, that it's kind of a long, video, but I do have a lot of thoughts on this. I've been thinking about mobile development since long before Pokemon Go even existed. I've attended mobile development conferences about Supercell and Clash of Clans, and I know the cycle of gameplay to payment to gameplay to payment. There's all these different cycles that you have to create within the game, and what Pokemon Go has actually done is create cycles for people who are spoofers to sell accounts to people who want to buy high-level accounts with a lot of coins on them, and that's what these spoofers are doing. And you can get online and find on Amazon level 35 accounts, you can find on eBay level 35 accounts with like 10,000 coins on them, and they sell for whatever amount of money, and these people are creating those accounts using bots. So I just think the way that they develop their game has incentivized the spoofers, and they need to fix that rather than trying to prevent spoofing altogether, because spoofing isn't the problem. The problem is people who are taking advantage of the game using robots, and there's a better way to fix it than trying to prevent spoofing, which I feel personally is impossible. They'll never be able to prevent it, but we'll see what happens. Maybe they'll turn around and they'll change their course, and they'll stop trying to attack the third-party communities, and they'll just change the game so that they don't exist. I think that would be so much better, but we'll see. Obviously, we're going to get 4 major updates this year, so we have plenty of time to figure out what's going to happen in those updates. So that's the end of my very, very long video. Thanks everybody for watching. Thanks to my awesome subscribers, and peace!